Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you yet. Ah, there you are. Hi.
Can
Yeah.
you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay. I feel like that old Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, where he takes every 2 steps and says it, yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me now? That's what I feel like screaming to President Trump. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you see us now? You should have, man. What I would have given yesterday to have him personally come in here and unannounced to eat dinner with us last night. Oh my God!
What happened? What happened last night?
It was okay. Well, we have a national menu. They're giving all this funding for our food. The world thinks that because we're in federal prison that we're eating, steak and shrimp. And, sorry to break everybody's newscast there, but, we're not. We're eating dirty dishwater and bugs. But, and I mean that quite legitly. But last night, they are so completely out of food in the kitchen that they're having to pull our meals and make things up. And so last night, every Wednesday is supposed to be hamburger day, and so everybody out there thinks, oh, hamburger and french fries, y'all are eating great. We actually did a drum beat with, first of all, it wasn't hamburger day yesterday, but they were out of food, so they're having to pull out of the freezer because there is no fresh food. There's no fresh meats of any kind. There's nothing. So they pulled the frozen hamburger patties, and when they cooked them and served them with the french fries, I'm not exaggerating, I got 4 french fries on my tray. And the hamburger patty, literally there was a drum beat at our table. People were picking up their hamburger patties and banging them on the table to a drum beat because they were so hard. You couldn't break them. You could not break the hamburger patties or the french fries. We could have put caulking in between these patties and built a house. They were concrete. And it was unedible. You could not eat the food. And so, I was elected, of course, at the table to please go say something to the kitchen staff about this. And so I approached the kitchen staff and I said, hey, can somebody explain this? What is happening? What is going on? No one can eat this. I've had to pull my own teeth out because I couldn't get help. Now y'all are going to pull the rest of my teeth so that I can get dentures, but you're telling me I'm going to have to wait up to 3 to 5 years after they're pulled, so I won't be able to eat it all. And I've never had a cavity a day in my life. This is from bone loss, from my gastric bypass, and no vitamins, no iron transfusions, no fresh food at all. Why are you serving us like this? And that lady looked at me, tossed her head back and laughed and said, well, I guess maybe you shouldn't come to prison and you wouldn't have to eat that. I just could not believe that this woman was so callous about it. And then today, they did fish day, which is supposed to be on Friday. They had to go back into the freezers today and and the french fries were 2 years old. They brought the label from the french fries. They were 2 years old. They were outdated by 2 years. And so today they gave us the little fish patties that are frozen and breaded. And again, today you could do a drum beat with them. You couldn't break them. They were completely unedible. And guess what they've started doing now? I've been here at this facility for a year, in for almost 16. Guess what they've started doing now? Because we reached out with a letter to the FBI, and that made them so angry here. But now, for the first time in a year, they're actually providing us with silverware in the kitchen, and they've put out plastic silverware now.
They're actually giving you guys silverware?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, finally. A year. It's been a year. and they now have it out on this professional looking display that has never been out there before. And now we have forks and spoons. Never have had those before. And we have real cups. We've never had those before. But they can't wash them because there's no soap. Yeah, but,
so they're giving you these utensils, these trays, and these cups to use. They're actually doing that now. But they're not washing it with soap?
No.
You guys have over 1,500 females there, and they're not washing it with soap. That's a health safety hazard.
It's beyond that. And when I addressed it to them, you know what the kitchen supervisor told me? He told me with a straight face. I couldn't believe it was with a straight face. You know, we're still human beings, even though the BOP teaches their staff that we're not. They teach them that we're monsters. They teach them that we deserve everything that they can dish out, that our punishments are not just being removed from society and our families, but also whatever else they choose to inflict. Even though their program statement now, the artfully crafted program statement, says something different. That's not reality. He told me that there's an announcement. There are roaches and rats in every kitchen, everywhere. That is a common problem, and that it is not anything that we need to be concerning ourselves with. Excuse me? They close commercial kitchens down. They make this product called Raid because people at home don't want rodents and insects crawling all over their pots and pans and dishes. And here it's just a completely normal, completely, absolutely acceptable thing. And then, you know, we have 2 kitchen employees here with the BOP, which, you know, I'm a former business owner. And if one of my employees owned a company that could get its product from my money and my product line, I would see that as stealing from me. And, you know, so we've got people who own food trucks who work here, people who own restaurants, and they're taking naps in their offices here, turning out the lights and literally going to sleep. Literally laying down and going to sleep.
That's BOP staff that's doing that?
Yeah. They're just turning off the lights, telling the kitchen staff, don't blankety blank interrupt me, and literally going to sleep on the clock. And then not overseeing the cooking, giving them barely anything to feed us with. They refuse all seasoning. All the seasonings are in staff dining. We can't even access them. And if you cannot afford to go to commissary, you haven't eaten in the past couple of days here because there is no food. 4 French fries and a hamburger patty that I could not even break with my teeth. And then today the fish. Tonight is the frozen. I don't know if you remember this far back. I don't even know that they serve these to children anymore. But those little square rectangular pizzas that just are basically bread. There's nothing really on them. That's what our pizza is one slice of that. But it's outdated, it's frostbit, it's going to be burned when it's served to us, but that's going to be our dinner tonight. So you're surviving on bread and water, and 3 girls got in trouble because we're blamed for the food shortage, the inmates are. Oh, well, if y'all would stop stealing all the food, we wouldn't have that problem. And an inmate cannot haul enough stuff out of that kitchen that it should affect a 1,500-woman compound. That's not common sense. But employees having food rerouted to a different address or loaded into their vehicles or embezzling money into other things, now that makes perfect sense. But we can't load enough little Ziploc bags of food out of there, which, by the way, is our food, so I'm not sure we're stealing it, when the government has given it to us for our survival. But women are now stealing. They've resorted to getting whole loaves of stale, and stale, it's half toast, stale white bread to bring back to the units so that they can eat peanut butter sandwiches or something because they're hungry. So whatever they're doing with this money, Congress needs to come find out. Because you're talking about $7.1 billion. If you did everything, I did the math. If I had to buy the top name brand of toilet paper, feminine products, toothpaste, everything myself, because they don't supply it. They don't supply any of that stuff. They're telling you they do, they don't. We get toilet paper, they do supply that. But if we had to buy everything at top price, you're looking at approximately, and say we paid $5 per meal. The BOP budget says $2 per tray is what they're saying we cost. If we just up it to $5, it comes out to roughly a little under $40,000 a year. Where's the $7.1 billion? That's an astronomical number when, we could. Do you know how many of us would garden? I've given the idea to the warden. Let us do a massive garden with fresh zucchini, tomatoes, cabbage, eggplants. We can grow that. Seed is cheap. We can do it. We can work the gardens and not only feed the compound, but we could do a charity outreach to the homeless shelter, to women and children who don't have food out there. We could donate our excess. They would rather get this funding, not feed us, not buy what they say they're buying for us, instead of letting us do something positive and productive. It makes no sense. They're hurting us, and they're hurting us with joy. They're finding joy in it. My friend downstairs, she has a cyst. She has three cysts on her body right now, but they've had to cut open every day, and they will not give her any pain medication. They're telling her to eat Tylenol, ibuprofen, and these things just keep on festering because they're not lancing them correctly and getting the actual head of them out. And so she's breaking out with more and more. And they told her 2 days ago, well, there's over 100 major breakouts with skin boils and things right now on this compound. So you're not the only one, so just find comfort in knowing that.
They're not giving any kind of antibiotics or actually treating these people?
Can you imagine? No antibiotics. This girl has open staph infections. No antibiotic. There is not a doctor out there that would say, no, that's the correct course of treatment. Yes. No treatment. Correct. Yes. Let's do that.
No doctor would ever do that. They would lose their medical licensing for that.
They would be sued and probably arrested for cruel and unusual punishment.
But that's what they're doing.
That's another thing, that if I could have 1 hour of our president's ear, our Congress's ear, this immunity situation that they have, it makes me sick. It should make the world sick. They should be sick. That they have qualified immunity even in death. Even in death. Can you wrap your head around that? They can kill us, which they do, by the way, and that's not a light statement. I'm not saying that because I hypothetically feel like that because I'm a prisoner. I'm saying that because I've watched women take their last breath. I've seen more women die, slow, agonizing, mouth filled with feces, just horrible deaths, screeching in pain death, because they could not get an antibiotic they could not get to an outside hospital. And then I find out when you do get to an outside hospital here at this prison, the prison actually dictates what the hospital's care is going to be. That's illegal. Those people are dictating that we don't get treatment. You have people in here with mental health disabilities and severe depression, and they literally just poke and poke and poke, tell you to kill yourself, tell you that you're worthless, and then they want to put you in what's called a cool-down room or on suicide watch. Do you know what suicide watch is? Let me enlighten everyone on what suicide watch is. If you didn't want to kill yourself, you will when they're done with you on suicide watch. Suicide watch is a room, a concrete room with no mattress, no blankets, no sheets, no clothing, freezing ice cold, with a hole in the floor for you to urinate and defecate in. And you are left alone. That's suicide watch. There's no care, there's no empathy, there's no concern, there's no compassion. It is pure hate. And then if you convince them
that's what they used to do to prisoners of wars in other countries.
Welcome to America's prisons. Other countries don't even treat their prisoners like this. But then you've got your prisoners in here who are so afraid of the staff, are so beaten down that they feel like if they can just make friends with the staff, if they tell the staff lies on other inmates, or they tell them anything they can, anything at all to make them their favorite, well then the staff picks those inmates, and they actually tell those inmates to go harm the other ones who are speaking out. Go start a fight with them, go steal all their property, go tear up their room, go threaten them for us. You know what they get out of that? Nothing. Nothing. The staff doesn't even give them a cookie for that. But they're so desperate to have the staff's approval and the safety that they'll go and harm another woman for speaking out. I was told that if I did not recant everything that I say and everything that I'm telling on about what they're doing and how they're treating and how they're killing and how they're refusing medical and refusing administrative remedies, that if I don't recant, that I'm going to disappear. Well, you know what? I guess I'm going to become Casper, because I'm not going to recant. I'm going to double down. I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to get quiet. I'm not going to disappear. They're going to keep pulling my teeth out of my face until I look distorted and I can't eat. And they're going to leave me like that for years. That's just what they're going to do. They're going to keep blocking my mail. They're going to keep not taking care of my medical needs. I'm going to keep watching them kill people until somebody stands up out there that has enough power behind their voice and makes it stop. Or they kill me. That's the reality in here. We are not taking care of our women and our mothers and our grandmothers out here like they represent we are. I would let someone saw off one of my limbs for President Trump to see my clemency and my mother's clemency and to see the friends' clemencies that we put in. I would let him take a limb if I could just get his attention and get him to hear us and see what's really going on. But every time we try, it's almost an impossibility to get anyone to listen, because they've trained the world to think prisoner equals worthless. A prisoner equals liar. And that's not the truth. Sometimes we just need to be heard so that you can see what the real truth is. And the real truth is, you cannot believe what you're reading that the BOP says they're doing, because they're not. I have been mailing packages after packages out to the office of the FBI, to the office of the BOP director, the assistant director, and just found out that 2 of the packages never even left this compound. They block us. They block voices. It has to stop. It has to. There can't be an option there. It has to stop. Psychology is not even prescribing mental health drugs to help people that they need. They're sending them to medical nurse practitioners over there who have no training at all in mental health are prescribing mental health drugs. They're what's called blanket prescribing. They're prescribing the same drugs to everyone on the compound. That's a federal crime. You can't blanket prescribe. It's a federal crime. They're doing it in here. They're not treating people. They're falsifying medical records. Why isn't psychology prescribing antipsychotics and antidepressants and things? Instead, they're sending you over to medical, to people, and telling you that medical has to prescribe that for you, that they can't. That's not done anywhere else. There's no proper training in here.
Do they even have a certified psychologist on the compound?
No.
Aren't they supposed to, by law, have one?
Absolutely. And a nurse practitioner cannot just prescribe someone. I'm diagnosed with depression, and a nurse practitioner cannot diagnose what I should be on. I take nothing for my depression, and I have to battle through it every day with other women coming to me, begging me for help. In tears. I've had 3 today alone, in tears over the case manager telling them, you're not getting home until I say you're getting home, when they're past due to go home. The FSA laws, our president developed FSA for us to be able to go home as low-end minimums. And the law is clear. It's clear. The words are common sense clear. That if you are a minimum or a low, you shall be placed into pre-release custody, home confinement, supervised, release at any point in your sentence. There's no time restraints. All time restraints have been lifted as of 2000 and I believe it was 18. Not one case manager here will acknowledge that. Not one court is wanting to acknowledge that. They're wanting to blindly trust the BOP that we have to earn all of our FSA credits before they're put on us. The director of the BOP put out a mandate stating that we are to be given all of our FSA as projected to be earned. That means upfront. Everything that we are projected to earn in our prison sentence, and the BOP case managers refuse. They refuse to do it. And when I told them here, this is federal law, that you are breaking federal law, I am laughed at and I am told, do you honestly think that we care what the president said we're to do? We're going to do what the BOP tells us to do. We're doing what regional tells us to do. So they pass the blame. They pass the buck that regional's telling them not to let us out into pre-release. I'm a minimum, regardless of how long my sentence is. My mother and I should be on pre-release custody. We have no violence, no victims. We were business owners. The judge even said, you're more of a white-collar crime than a drug crime, but then turns around and sentences us to a massive amount of marijuana kilos to give us life.
That was Faith Blake. There's her reg number right there, 73053279. Her name is Faith Blake. Her mom's name is Barbara Lang. They have their clemency packages, and to be honest, she will most definitely be facing retaliation for stepping out and staying the truth and standing up for those who are too scared to. President Trump, she needs your help. Alice Johnson, she needs your help. Pam Bondi, she needs your help. She has cried out and asked you guys repeatedly, and you have said, that you were. You said that you were standing up, that you were trying to change the system, that you wanted people to come forward and speak the truth. Well, there it is. So help her. She's at FC at Aliceville. This is January 21st, 2026. She needs your help. That's not showing up either. But yeah.
It's just beaten down, just unbelievably.
Yeah.
That was, I was thinking you were asking me a minute ago that if I had known, about the suicides and things like that, and it made my heart hurt again. There's so many families out there that they just have no idea what's happening to their loved ones. They believe like I believed before I came into prison. I was that American. I was that one who said, if the federal government indicted somebody and put them in there, then our marshals, our feds, they can't be. They have to have it right. They have to have the evidence. They have to have this right. And then I come in here and I found out they have it wrong. They have it so wrong. And I see these women, by nature, in my so many years now that I've been in, over 15,
mm-hmm.
I've learned a very strong truth, and that is women are accustomed to being the victim. They're accustomed to being abused on the outside, and that seems to be the majority of the women that are incarcerated. It's like they're selected. Don't arrest too many powerful women. Don't arrest too many that will speak up. Don't arrest too many that will fight back. Arrest ones that are shattered a little bit, that have been beaten, that have been belittled, because when they put us in here, they are beaten and they are belittled, and the women will tolerate it. They accept it as these people in power. They have to be correct because they have the job. They have the uniform. They have the power. They have the badge. So what they're saying must be right. And that's the difference between the men and the women. And I think why they fear the men prisoners more. Because the men are not accustomed to being victimized. They are normally the aggressors. And it's harder for them to victimize the men. I'm not saying that they don't, because I've heard these guards brag. I've heard the staff brag that they do, and that they miss the days that they could kick them down a flight of stairs, and they miss the days that they could lock them in cells and pepper spray them for no reason. The men just make it harder. The women are just extremely easy targets. And they hire people that enjoy it. These people enjoy it. And I'm not saying that because I'm in here, because I have met very few, but I have met, I think I can count on one hand, maybe three, that were really good people that did not want to see us suffer, that did not want to see us harmed. But when they would stand up for us, they would be demoted. They would be berated by their fellow staff members openly in front of the inmate population. So the system is set up to continue the cycle. And you cannot look at the history of things that are reported. You know, this place used to be called the Rape Club, for crying out loud. It wasn't called that because it was a myth. It wasn't called that because it was a one-time horrible, horrible act. It's called that because it is the reality. And just because something was finally heard and then it was lost again. Because society is programmed to believe that a government employee would never do what they do. Such a misconception. These people that have buried their loved ones and have gotten that phone call that they've committed suicide, they need to dig. They need to speak to people that were in here. They need to speak to me. They need to speak to people out there that these guards have actually told them, you know, you can disappear into the shoe and that same suicide can happen to you. I know a lady. Her suit's in the court right now. That was said to her. That threat was made to her by the guard that worked there when those women lost their lives. That's a threat. But, you know, when you report it, it falls on deaf ears because you can't go against them when they all protect each other. So we die. We die. We get beaten on mentally, emotionally. We have our medical records faked so that we look like liars, even though a company several years ago, I believe the company's name was NapaCare, admitted in open court that they instructed their employees in the medical department to falsify medical records on inmates and that they were embezzling money. And they got to keep their contract. Amazing. You're stealing from the federal government and harming the United States citizens because we're inmates and we deserve it. They want to tell you whenever you say something like that, like I've said that multiple times to my case manager, you think that I deserve you calling me worthless, or you calling me a bitch, or you telling me you're going to take your last breath in here, you know, or telling me, I think the best thing that you could do, Miss Blake, is just go ahead and think of your mother as dead and buried because you'll never see her again. That's the worst thing you can say to somebody. But they say it with a smile. They just look right at you and smile and tell you to think of your family as dead versus helping you.
Didn't they say that to you? I remember talking to you about that. Didn't they say that to you after they had found out you had helped a girl to file a suit against them?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, as a matter of fact, within days. within I think it was 4 days that the suit had hit the court, I was called back in to my case manager, and she just had this twisted, is the only way to describe it, smile on her face, and said, just with such confidence, I think, Miss Blake, the best thing for you to do is to accept that you're going to die in here, and that your mother is already dead and buried. I think that'll help your time go by faster, because you're never going to see her again. And I was blown back for about a heartbeat. And you fight emotionally not to tear up. You fight not to let these people see that. And I said, no, I'm going to get transferred back with my mother. Your policy states that families are important, that families should be together. Now, while I'm saying this, I know that they don't believe that. Their program statements are some of the most artfully crafted, beautiful lies. And they're for the public. They're for the press. They're for the politicians. They're for the people in power to believe. They're not real. Those are not real.
So their policy statements are meant to deceive the public so that they can continue to get away with the injustices that they're doing to you guys.
They need Congress, and they need the Senate, and they most of all need the public. They need people like I was before this. They need us to believe. When a program statement says that their staff is to treat us with dignity, respect, and kindness, and to provide us with a safe and calm living environment, and that every employee, no matter what position, is held to those of the most highest standards, they need us to believe that. But what is written is not the truth. It's not what they mean. When they look at their program statement and laugh, when they hide their program statement so that you can't find it, they delete it off the computers. But then when they say, if they're questioned, their first response is their PR department swoops in and comes in with a beautifully scripted, rehearsed response straight out of the program statement. Stop listening to that.
Have you ever even witnessed them actually adhere to their program statement and the way that they're supposed to treat you guys, the care, or anything else for that matter?
One time.
And how long have you been locked up?
Almost 15 years.
Out of almost 15 years, you've only seen that one time? That's pretty sad.
One time. And it was actually by a warden. And I was stunned. But the warden stood up for my mother and I. A false report had been written against us by an officer out of retaliation. And he wanted to harm us by taking everything that we owned. And he wanted us separated from our units so that we couldn't see one another. And the SIS officer told my mother and I the truth. And that's very rare to come against an officer. And the warden stood up to that officer who falsified that report, because falsifying a report in their program statement is an illegal act. Just like swearing at us is an illegal act. It's a fireable offense. That doesn't stop them.
What happened to that warden? Did he have his job very long after that?
He does. He has his job. Unfortunately, that same warden allowed for me to be transferred away from my mother and claimed that he didn't know anything about it.
Do you think that he might have been pressured from higher-ups to assist them in their retaliation against you and your mom because you have reported officers' misconduct and the abuses that have been going on?
Well, I had helped a lady there. I had helped several ladies in Carswell, many. And one of them in particular, I had helped with filing a lawsuit, and they allowed her buttock implant to rotten out of her body and fall onto the floor. I don't know if you've ever seen an implant, but they're not small. It's not the size of a pea or a rice grain. The hole that you need to rip and tear at your flesh to expose an implant is massive. And they let this woman's skin just rip and shred and would do nothing for her until it was to the point that they had to. And so I helped her, and I helped her file that. And when it got granted for her to go to a jury trial, the day that it was notified to her that she was granted to go to a jury trial, I was notified that I was going to be transferred.
So they got rid of her legal assistance.
Correct. And I filed a notice in the court that it was happening because of that, and so that it was on record. But anything to keep the judges blind. Anything. There is no limit. They think that there's a limit. There's not. Our system has reached a point that limitations, there is no more line. If they need a death, there'll be a death. If they need a torture, there'll be a torture. If they need to take everything, they'll take it. And then they'll go on camera and say that they put their lives on the line every day you come to work. What are they putting their lives on the line from? Women in wheelchairs and walkers? Women that they're standing at the doorway of medical laughing at and they won't even take their sick call? Those women? Women that they're like our Cornish hens for our Christmas meal. We are supposed to get, there is a national menu that all prisons are fed. We are to be fed the same things across the board equally. I have not seen more than 3 cucumber slices and 4 tomato wedges of fresh vegetables in 1 year. And I can say that with faith and confidence and truth because I document it. Do you know the amount of money that our president gives these prisons? And our Cornish hens, we were told, and I quote, "You're only going to get half of a Cornish hen this year because y'all are the worst prisoners that we've ever dealt with. You're nothing but swine, and that's all you deserve." And I would take a lie detector test to anything that I say. And then when they cut the Cornish hens in half to cook them so that we would only get half instead of a whole, they were packed with worms.
With worms? They had worms inside the food?
And
they had worms inside the food, and they made you guys eat that?
They were packed with maggots. And so, no, he couldn't get by with that. So he fed us old turkey that had been left over from Thanksgiving a month prior. Now, staff dining was catered in, and I used to work staff dining. I was their cook, and I could order anything, squash, zucchini, anything. And they eat well. They eat beautifully.
Aren't they supposed to eat the exact same food the inmates do per their own program statement, though?
According to their program statement, that beautifully, artfully crafted program statement, they are to eat after the inmates are fed, and they are to eat out of the same pots that we are fed out of. That does not happen.
So they're re-embezzling the money, and they're using it for themselves, but starving the inmates and feeding them rotted, worm-infested food.
If my voice was heard and taken seriously, and I was president of this country, and I was as brave as our president is, because he's not afraid to say what he thinks. He's not afraid to say the hard comments and to dig. I would offer the challenge. Bring a forensic accountant. Come look. Come unannounced. Just walk onto the property at night for dinner. I dare you to come eat our food. Not what would be prepared for staff, but what's prepared for us. I've eaten beans for the past 9 days.
About what time is the dinner time at there when they start serving?
About 5:45.
Okay.
5:45 to 6. You know, I've eaten beans for the past 5 days. And I haven't seen a fresh vegetable other than when we had chef salad. We had some slices of cucumber in there and a couple of tomato wedges. And every woman almost on the compound shows up for chef salad because we were starving for vegetables. And
is the lettuce actually good, or is it sometimes molded or slimy? I'm just curious.
Sometimes yes, sometimes, but you still eat it. You still eat it because you're hungry, for one. And for two, you need it. We need it. You know, we need it medically. We need the vegetables. And you take what you can get, you know, and I've got friends who work in the kitchen now who come back and they tell me, you know, Miss Faith, please don't go to chow. We're out of soap. We've been out of soap for days in the kitchen. And I ask them and I document, what do you mean you're out of soap in the kitchen? Yes, they're making us wash the pots and the pans and the serving trays for your food with water only. No sanitizer, there's no soap, and this will go on for days. And they're recooking with these pots, they're recooking with these and serving with these pans, and they haven't been washed. They've just been rinsed.
That's a health hazard. Don't you have like over 1,500 females there?
They have more women in here with gastroenterology problems than I've ever seen in my lifetime. I've never met so many women who have had intestinal blockages. That's a common feat here. I've had an intestinal blockage It is a common feat. One of my mother's dear friends was holding her own intestines in her hand and feces coming out of her mouth, and she was told to shut the fuck up from her crying, and she died. That's the care we get. That's the reality. That's not a misconception. It's not a once-in-a-while situation. It's happening, and we need to be heard. People have to listen. We have to be heard. There's no other way. You know, Trump has changed the marijuana scheduling. That's the entire way my mother and I were sentenced. The pills were changed to marijuana. I'm hoping that my clemency is viewed differently now, and my mother's, and all the women's clemencies that I helped put in with mine. What we're going through in here, it's not human. It's not. It's not what our country stands for. Our country cannot keep imprisoning people like we do.
You sent your clemency package to President Trump and Alice Johnson, correct? Back in June?
I did.
June of 2025?
I did, yeah. And I have all the faith in God that they're going to learn my mother and I's name, and they're going to learn the names of the other 14 that were in that package.
Really quick, what's your name and your mom's name? This is about to disconnect.
Say that again?
This is about to disconnect. Really quick, what is your name and your mom's name?
Bob.
That disconnected. Her mom's name is Barbara Lang, and her name is Faith Blake. And they need your help. There's 14 of those girls that were in that clemency package. They all need your help. You guys heard what's been going on. President Trump, you said you're there for change. You said you're wanting to change the corruption and get rid of the corruption that's in the system and make a difference. There's an outcry for help right there. They need you. Today is January 16th, 2026. I'm okay.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
You know, living day to day, literally. Absolutely, literally. You know, it just is so astonishing, absolutely astonishing how our people and our country just don't want to hear. They don't want to hear what's really happening, what's really going on in here, what's happening to the moms and the sisters and the mothers, grandmothers, at the hands of people just because these people have titles.
So what's going on? What are they doing in there?
It's just, it's monstrous, you know, to have people that are so benevolent to your needs and to call you swine, you know, to say that you're not worthy of, you know, of fresh food or food that doesn't have worms in it. You're not worthy of being spoken to decently. You deserve being called things, you know, that are so disgraceful, you know, like being called a cum bucket, you know, because you're a prisoner.
Oh, so they called you guys cum buckets just because you're incarcerated?
Just because they're able to. Just because it's justified. It's justified because we're in here. And because no one out there that has the power is listening. We are less than a grain of salt to the people that we need to be heard by. because we are not believed. We're not valued anymore. There's no worth in you when you become a prisoner. And that is beat into you when you're in here even more. You're told that you're not worth it. You're told that you're not going to be heard. You go to the simplest place. You go to medical because you're sick. They falsify your medical records. They say that you have diseases that you don't have, and if you ask for help, you're told to drink more water, that you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. But then you ask for a copy of your medical records like I did, and you find out that you've been diagnosed with stage 2 Parkinson's. And when you confront them, they put you in full remission. These are federal crimes.
So, are they even giving you any kind of... They say they diagnose you with it, but are they trying to even give you any kind of treatment on it? Or why do they put that on your medical records?
It has to be financial gain. It can't be any other reason. There is no other reason for lying the way that they're lying. It has to be financial reason. You're saying that, people are picking up medications that they're not picking up, that we're on medications that we're not on, that you're providing medical treatment that you're not providing.
So they're putting in the medical records that they're providing all this medical care so that they can get more government federal funding, but they're not actually providing any of these medical care treatments whatsoever, and they're just falsely putting this stuff in the records so that they can get more money for inmates?
They're absolutely falsifying them. I've witnessed women, there are families out there right now that my heart breaks. I wish that there was some way that they could hear my voice, that their daughters, their mothers died in here, and they died agonizing deaths because they weren't believed, because they weren't worthy to be believed. And I have begged, my mother has begged for people to get help. Do you have any idea what it's like to spoon feed a woman water for weeks and her be told by medical, there's nothing wrong with you. Shut up. Quit your crying. Go take some ibuprofen. We don't want to hear from you. And then for it to get so bad that that lady cannot even rise up out of the bed, that she is urinating on herself, and officers won't help. They're disgusted and they make fun of her. And we beg and we fight and we raise up so much noise that finally medical is forced to come. And when they come, they laugh openly and tell the guard, oh, we have it in her medical file that she's a faker. Don't call us back for this bitch again. She died a few weeks later. That's a hell of a faking job. Women are losing their limbs. Limbs are being cut off because of simple infections, because they don't want to give the right treatment. They're limping, hurting, because they can't be seen. I went out to medical here, and at sick call, as we're told to do, and because my chest hurt, I have AFib, and I couldn't hardly focus. The pain was coming in so fast, and I knew I was out of rhythm, and they literally stood in the doorway of medical and laughed at me and 3 other women and told us to take our asses back to our unit. And when I refused and I went to the lieutenant's office, the pain actually took me to the wet doormat. And I laid like a dog on the wet doormat and was brutally spoken to and walked around by officers. And finally, when one medical individual came to get me, it gets you to the point mentally that you don't want their help anymore, because their help means death. And when I asked, am I going to be taken to the hospital? I need to be scoped. I'm a gastric bypass patient with AFib. There is something wrong. I have not used the restroom in 21 days. Please, y'all keep turning me away. I need to go to the hospital. To have the person over medical stand there and look me in my face with tears rolling down my face and tell me, even if we do take you to the hospital, I will see to it that no scope is done. That tells me everything that I need to know. They control what even the outside medical providers do for us. They are our life and our death. And that is unchecked power. And nobody's listening, because we can't get heard. And if we do manage to write someone, I have reached out to the president, I have reached out to the new director of the BOP and the new assistant director of the BOP, and to Pam Bondi. We need them to hear us. We need them to hear our voices. We need them to care more than a grain of salt. You know, I had to pull my own teeth because my teeth are loose, because I'm losing bone because of my gastric bypass. No one should have to do that. You shouldn't have to do what we have to do in here. You shouldn't be spoken to the way you're spoken in here. The amount of women that I have known to be sexually abused in here, I can't name another person that I know on the outside that's witnessed so many rapes. And nobody on the outside, if they went to the police and asked for help, would be told to go back and live with that same abuser. But that's exactly what they're doing in here.
Isn't there a current lawsuit right now against guards that are there for the rapes and death threats that they did towards inmates?
Oh, there is. Yes. And I know for a fact that there is, because I try to hold on. I try to hold on, and I try only through God. 150,000% I hold on to my faith that God knows that we are worth more than a grain of salt. And I write for these women in here, and I try to get them heard in the courts. And there is a woman that was here whose sister was being threatened to be raped. And she stood up for her sister, and they ended up in the SHU, because that is the answer. That's the answer whenever you ask for help, or you speak, and you speak the truth, and it is not what they want you to speak.
Those guards, are they still there, the ones that did that to them?
Of course they are. Of course they are, because there's one massive difference between a government employee and someone that's wearing the colors that I'm wearing. If you're a government employee, you must be honest. What a misconception that our world has. You've placed people in positions to abuse people, and those people have prevented the people that they're abusing from ever being heard. It is the perfect system for a sociopath to work in. It cannot get any better. It's designed for it. And they revel in it. You go and you say, okay, the system says that if I do an administrative remedy, that it's going to get to the right person, and the person that is in power is going to listen to me. They're going to help me. Well, not if the person that you give the administrative remedy to laughs at you and puts it in a shredder right in front of you. Then the person you're trying to get to will never see it. And some of them are bold enough to even say, you know, you'll never get hurt. You're never going to get this out of here. It'll never leave this compound. You know, do you know that it's my friend that works with them? Do you know that this is just going to come right back to me? And then when it does come right back to them, they call you into their office and show it to you. And so you're reminded again that you're swine.
So the BOP system that they say is to help them solve internal revenue issues of complaints within the system is completely fake and false, because they mask it, they cover it up, and they shred them right in front of you and then mock you and retaliate against you for it. Is that what you're saying?
100%. You will lose everything that you have. Everything. You will lose your property, your very food that you have. You'll lose it. You will lose your limited freedom that you have in the prison itself, because you're going to the SHU. And you're going to lose contact with the outside. You're going to lose any minimal contact. You're going to lose your absolute voice. And when they're done with you in the SHU, and you've lost massive weight, and you come out of the SHU, most come out broken. There are women that I know right now, they can't even speak because they are so afraid that if they speak, they're going back to the hole. They're going back in there. And the people that oversee the hole, they rule everything. You know, women have been reported for suicides. You know, the BOP's got a lot of problem with suicides. You know what the biggest problem with the BOP suicides are? Most aren't suicides.
What do you mean? Like
most are helped. Most are constructed because they found a voice. They found somebody that would listen on the outside. Or they came against the right monster.
So there was a girl I talked to, and she said that some of the suicides, the hangings in the SHU, she had witnessed it. The guards had actually done that and turned off the video footage, hung the girl, and made her look like a suicide. Have you heard or seen things like that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The statistics that Congress, oh dear sweet Congress, if I could have 1 hour of Congress's ears, if they were willing to hear the truth, what a challenge that I would offer them. They have no idea. The people who are so well pressed in wonderful suits and expensive jewels that sit in front of them, that they question, that lead this ship, are the very people that are lying to them and misrepresenting actual reality. But because I'm a convicted felon, I have to be the liar. And you know, if they just did enough research, about who is trying to speak to them, they would find that it was actually a government employee that did this. But they have to start to listen, because eventually one of our voices is going to make it out of here. One of our voices is not going to be silenced whenever we get free. One of us is not going to stop until you stop hurting us. It would be quicker and more humane for them just to put a bullet in our heads than to mentally break us, to keep us from food and mental health therapy and medical help, to call us names, to kill us, to rape us, beat us, keep us from our families. That abuse is worse. I would rather somebody pull the trigger. They gave me 34 years for owning a medical business because the DEA placed a nurse practitioner in my mother and I's clinic to work for them as a prescribing nurse practitioner. He was not charged. I was charged with conspiracy. My mother was charged with conspiracy, when even that man himself told the grand jury that he never saw us do or say anything illegal. But that DEA agent that wanted that money from us weekly, he needed us to go away. So 44 years, my life, my children's lives, because they put a man in there that worked for them, who wrote prescriptions to their own undercover DEA agent.
So that whole thing was a setup and a trap to start with, and they framed you.
Undercover wrote prescriptions to undercover. And then there's text messages from the undercover agent, the lead agent, to his plant that the grand jury saw when I closed my clinic voluntarily because of the extortion bribes that I wouldn't pay. And the DEA agent told him, she has to reopen. Go make it happen. Everything is about money, and if you don't have the money and you don't have the power, nobody wants to listen. And there's a woman out there right now that President Trump appointed, Miss Bondi. She knows that things are not the way that they seem. She knows that things are being misled and misrepresented. But when is she going to get brave enough to come after the actual government? When is she going to use her power to listen and actually say, I'm not going to let this happen anymore? 5 minutes. 5 minutes with the president's ear, even though I'm just less than a grain of salt. 5 minutes. And who would know more about what is going on than what his so-called experts could ever tell him? Because they're all being lied to. We're dying. And some of us are not dying slowly. Some of them they're killing quickly. My poor mother, they gave a 280-year sentence to for a crime that had no victims. She did not write a single prescription herself. and were first-time offenders. 280 years.
How old is your mother?
73. Sitting in Carswell with a pacemaker that they keep telling her that they've recharged. And you can't recharge that pacemaker. That model and brand can't be recharged. They're going to let my mother time out and die. So they got rid of me and separated us because I was helping too many women get hurt in the courts.
So because you guys were standing up for your rights and standing up for what was right, they're retaliating against you and trying to kill your mom now, and they separated you guys.
Well, they'll just say her heart failed.
Yeah, but it looks like a cover-up, though. If they make it so, and her medical records say that they recharge it, but there's no actual recharging for that battery, it's just going to look like she died by accident, when really that was them killing her.
Her medical record is full. She's got copies. It's full, packed full of test results, actual test results that required her to sleep over for them to even get. She never even left the prison. But they have her name on them.
So they completely falsified her medical records.
Completely. 100%. They've given her 9 lung blockages, including a chart that lays them out where they are in her lungs. She has perfect lungs. An ER doctor told her not to take the oxygen anymore that they were making her use.
That was Faith Blake, and I have her reg number is 73053279. If you're watching this, these are real videos. These are videos from women who are actually there right now in FCI Aliceville, who are, you heard it yourself, are being treated like garbage. And they are human beings. They are mothers, they are daughters, they are sisters, they are aunts. And this needs to change. Your guards, your government officials are using their power to abuse the women that are in there to kill them. They need your help. They need an outcry. They need the people of this country to stand up and say enough's enough. And let their voices be heard. President Trump, you said you would change things. Well, they need your help, and they're crying out for you. Today is January 16th, 2026. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Was we supposed to be able to do that right now, or?
Yeah.
Okay, is it ready?
Yeah, I've got it going right now.
Okay. Well, good morning. I'm calling to get word out there for help. I wanted to do a video so you could see who you're speaking with, but the reason I'm calling instead of the video is because the BOP has falsified documentation on my file and falsely labeled me as something I'm not charged with. And of course, when I asked to file my administrative remedy to fix that, because they won't take proof of documentation, they tell me, no, you can't file that because it's not a fileable reason. I've been here for 3 years, and I haven't been able to use my videos or emails to see or keep even in better contact with my kids and family. It puts a false label on me in here too, which also puts a target on my back with the guards harassing me and, among other things. Trump needs to know what's going on here. Like the BOP starting programs they won't fund properly with the money he's providing or the food he's providing the funding for. I haven't seen the national menu in a long time for lack of food in the kitchen, or like just yesterday, we were supposed to have chicken salad, bread, chips, soup, and lettuce. We had 1 sausage with a bun and 1 small baked potato. During lunch, the eggs were so spoiled they smelled like rotten fish. They cannot be using the funding properly. There's just no way. And then to say it's beyond sad that there are people in here still begging for food that's bad, or and after that being yelled at to actually go away. These guards don't care, like, at all. And for example, after I finally get a job here at recycling, I thought the guard was truly concerned with my mental health when it was very noticeable I was having a bad day. Theo had asked me what was wrong, so I confided in him that my ex-husband was throwing my daughter in mental hospitals after coaching and threatening her to lie, that she was hearing voices and she was evil. After several hospitals later, they were trying to release her because there's nothing wrong with her. He abandoned her there, and DCBS had been called, and she's 16 years old, so I had been upset. This monster used that against me. Stand over me, harassing me for 3 hours, telling me I probably hear voices in them evil too, that he needed to show me the power of God. So I needed to come in before everyone for one-on-one time to have sex with me. It's disgusting. This is what kind of people work here. I wrote him up, and it didn't even go far. They just told me okay, and then I must have been out of bounds because the CO didn't put it in the system that I'd been working there for 2 weeks. We are being tortured here, day by day, physically, mentally, emotionally.
Wasn't that guard wrote up multiple times by other females for sexual harassment as well?
Oh, yeah, he was actually had 2 PRIAs filed against him. Previously, I hadn't known before I started working there, but after this had happened, people had actually come and...
This call is from a federal prison.
...volunteered information about it. But I guess they had let him back, so I don't know what had happened there. I had heard rumors that the girl was intimidated into saying that nothing had happened, so... every day, these women here are being treated very poorly. They're dehumanized. I have seen girls try to steal food out of the kitchen because they're hungry, and them just being chased down, and it was just an apple that was on their tray to begin with. Just tried to save it for later because they were so hungry. And crazy. And the same man that had done this to me at recycling, he literally had told some other woman that he thought of us as swine. Who says that? And it just makes me so torn up that I could actually be out there with my family. Had this place be doing their job, I could be out there with my Second Chance Act, that if it was actually applied, I could be out there. Or there's a lot of people here that could be outside right now. Had the BELP been doing their job, there would be more than half of us at home, working, providing for our families, changing our lives, turning it around, being there for our kids and our family. That's not including the First Step Act, that if people actually qualify for that, they're not applying it to them either. And, I don't have much time because these are just phone calls, but I want to say, Trump, if you can find a way to hear this, or if this finds its way to you, please do a surprise visit, see for yourself. If you need proof of anything that I've said here today, I will send it to you. Send me the information. And also, Alice Johnson and Pam Bondi, there's been several of us reach out to you in a packet. I think it was those 13 people with our clemencies. Would you please take a look into it too? And thank you for listening to just a few things that I can say among the book of things that I could say. And if this makes it somewhere, listen, the more people who get the word out there, the better.
You state your name and reg number.
My name is Brianna Soper. My reg number is 22770032.
Thank you. What's today's date?
Today is, what is Sunday? My days run together in here. 18th?
Sunday, the 18th, 2020. 2026. Okay. For when you reported the guards and stuff on that, they come and retaliate against you?
Oh yeah. My room was searched. Everything, almost every piece of clothing that I had was taken from me. A lot of the unopened food that I had, even the open food that I had, was taken. It was a disaster. And when I come back from them doing a cell search in my room, it was so bad. You couldn't see the floor. They opened stuff, poured it out everywhere. There was water all over the floor, mixed with things that were in my locker. They had broken just my pens and stuff. It was terrible, and they had done this like 3 or 4 times.
So they completely trashed your cell and stole your stuff, which is against BOP policy, just to retaliate against you because you reported him for trying to force you to have sex with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen them do that kind of stuff to other inmates as well?
There has been a couple other times where I don't want to say her name or put her out there until she's ready, because I know retaliation is a very, very big thing here, and we've already suffered some of that. I'm just tired as of this moment. I don't care to put my name out there anymore. But I have seen several women in here. There's one actually in here right now that is in the same unit with me still, being done the same way.
Okay. I know other people have reported about the medical neglects there and the dentistry neglect and wrongful deaths that have been happening as a result of the BOP staff misconduct. Have you seen any of that, or has that happened to you as well?
It is unreal. The amount of people, I think everybody here is probably a victim. Either one of those things or all of those things. Mental, as far as myself, I have been on a waiting list since 2022. And I've still yet to be seen, and it's 4 years later. I'm in pain every day, and I know several other people that has been waiting for just as long, or if not longer. There has been people in here that has died because of the lack of medical treatment, and it's so sad to see these people like reaching out for help, and all they want to do is laugh and mock at you and say that you're high, and when you're not, and there's really something going on, and brag about if there's an incident. There's blood everywhere.
This call is from a federal prison.
Oh, I didn't even break a nail. And that's all they're worried about. Whenever someone is pouring blood from them, like right in front of my eyes, and that's all that they can talk about is their nails. Disgusting.
So you'll have people bleeding out. You'll have inmates bleeding out, and all the guards can care about is their nails?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's been also other times when people have hard time breathing, and they actually go into like a respiratory attack, and they're just walking up the stairs like casually, knowing that these people need oxygen. It's insane, and just laughing and carrying on the way there. It's bad, and just to know that these people would pretty much kill you to kill yourself, like it's insane. And the psychology here does nothing. They don't do anything for people here. There's been so many women here screaming. We had one not too long ago. I'm going to try to get her to write a statement for this. And she was sitting here screaming that she needs psychology over and over and over again, and nobody would help her. Nobody. They just locked her in her cell. As far as all the other stuff goes, as far as dying and death, there's been a lot of suicides here too. A lot of framed suicides is what I've been told. And I've also known people here that has had threats made to them for them to go to the SHU, and it'd be a whole setup to make it look like suicide when it was a murder. It's a scary, scary thing in here. A lot of women don't want to speak up or reach out because of these threats.
They're too scared to stand up of being retaliated against.
Yeah. They're thinking that they're going to take everything that they have, they're going to put them in this shoe and hang them and make it look like a suicide.
Because that's what they've done to other girls who have stood up for their rights. Is that correct?
What I understand, yes.
When I know you mentioned on the dentistry, you said you had been waiting on a waiting list for 4 years to see a dentist.
I have documentation proving that. So they have denied touching my teeth, and have me on a list to pull all my teeth out and give me fake ones for years. I think that was their excuse to not help me, and I have been in pain every single day. I have periodontal disease as well, so it makes it worse. And it makes everything decaying faster, like it's more rapid in most cases. But they don't care about that either.
Have you tried talking to the warden there about these things? What did they say? What did they do?
I have emailed everybody because I have been denied my remedies to try to fight things in here, to justice to the things that are being wronged, and they deny me that. They tell me I can't file on that. That's not a reason you can file for that, or just no, or don't do that. Get out of my office. So I go to email electronic request to said personnel in here for my remedies, and they are either ignored or my question is rerouted and answered with something I don't even know what they're answering to, or they just don't say anything at all.
Okay. This is about to hang up on us because I know they only let you guys have 15-minute phone calls. Thank you for standing up and speaking out. I know it's a scary place in there. I know you face a lot of retaliation, but stay strong, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for your support, and have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
So you heard it yourself. That was Brianna Soper. She'll probably get retaliated against actually for this as well. That's usually what happens. That's how they keep them silent, is they retaliate against them. They make threats. They go in there, they terrorize them. They throw them in the shoe. They take away any kind of privileges that they have in their phone calls, any of that kind of stuff. They take it away. It's horrendous the things that they go through. So, President Trump, Pam Bondi, Alice Johnson, you guys have been sent her clemency package along with 14 other girls. They have begged and pleaded for your guys' help. They have sent you information on the horrendous things that are going on in there. She's at FCI Aliceville. They need your help. With this recording, there will be a picture of her that's going to be going side by side with this, so you can see the face of who it is you were talking to on that phone call, on that recording. Hello, my name is Charis Mapson. I would like to talk to you today about some things that go on at FCI Aliceville, which is a federal institution for women. While I was there, my baby sister was there with me. She's 8 years younger than me. When we were there, guards tried to force my sister to have sex with them. They tried to rape her. They chased her. And they did that to me too. I stopped them several times. They threatened us with death. They threatened putting us in the shoe, which is, you might know it as like the hole or isolation, is common terms that most people know it by. But it's special segregated housing is the fancy term that they like to use for it. Well, they threatened to put us in the shoe, and they threatened to hang us and make it look like a suicide. This was done constantly for over a year. Finally got them to stop trying to actively rape my baby sister and me. But at the cost of so much, at the pain of so much. The guards there bragged about killing other women, about hanging them and making it look like a suicide. They bragged about it. This is something that goes on normally, day to day, while you're there. The guards there like to hide it. They like to put a sugar coat on it and make it sound like they're so nice and that they follow their program statement, which is nicely written so that you think that they're doing their job, that you think that they have morals, that you think that they have actual standards of codes of conduct that normal businesses would have. But the truth is they don't. Their administrative remedy process, oh yes, we tried that. We went through that. We faced further retaliation, actually, because of that. And they never helped us. Not once. I have a lawsuit in the court right now, actually, against several of the guards there, over 15 guards there in that prison, for what they did to me and my sister. This is real. This is what the women in there face every day. They face humiliation. You're told that you're garbage, that you're worthless, that you're not, that no one cares about you, that you should just go and die. Yeah, those are things you're told all the time. Food is withheld from you, and it's not like, oh, you can go out to the grocery store and get food like normal people can. No, you're not. You're completely at their mercy. There was times where they withheld food from me and my sister, so we starved for days on end. And they laughed about it. They thought it was funny. You know what their answers was when we begged and pleaded, please just let us go and get some food to eat? Well, you should have bent over and took it in the ass. That's what their answers were. Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, I had been having signs of cancer, of cervical cancer, and I had begged and pleaded for medical to do something to test or whatever, right? And they tested and it came back, oh yeah, you have cancer cells in there. And so I begged and pleaded because they're supposed to send you to an outside doctor to, get seen and further diagnosed and everything else, right? Well, I begged and pleaded, and you know what they said? They turned around and said, it was like, oh, well, you said you'd rather die than let us rape your sister, so you can go ahead and die and we can arrange that. Yeah. They stopped all medical care, all medical treatment. It took central office coming down and me begging and pleading with them and showing all of the electronic requests that I had sent, all of the documentation I sent for them to go and make FCI Aliceville staff take me to an outside hospital, which they did. They took me the following day because central office forced them to, because they had to save face. They had to make it look like they were doing something. Well, they took me, they did a biopsy. The doctor said, oh yeah, you definitely have it. Make sure you get and see the results yourself. Aliceville refused to let me see the results. I was supposed to go back in for another one a few months later. That didn't happen. It was over a year. And once again, I had to beg and plead to get them to. Then they went so far as to falsify my medical records and say I didn't have it. I know, because I finally got a copy of my medical records. And you can tell that they were altered. You can tell that they had whited out and copied and pasted and added other stuff into it. That's illegal. That's medical fraud. But they get away with it. They do it all the time. I'm not the only one that they do this to. They do it to a lot of girls, actually. I had to write a motion. My friend helped me write a motion just so I could get out to go to home confinement. I was supposed to have been at home confinement over a year ago. Only recently got there. Now actually seeing a doctor, getting it taken care of. It was a death sentence inside those walls, though, because I'm not the only one. I helped a girl go to medical. And every day, for a week straight, she went to medical complaining, saying she couldn't breathe. Every day. Every day. You know what they did? They yelled and screamed at her and called her a worthless piece of trash. And they sent her back to the pod. Every day. Well, she died that Friday from not being able to breathe. And you know what? She's not a drug addict. And you know what the guard did? He Narcaned her. He Narcaned her. Sent her under further cardiac arrest. And then when medical finally got there, their AEE, the little electronic device that's, supposed to zap your heart back to life, yeah, the batteries were dead. They've been dead for over 2 years. I went around on the compound later that week, after I heard she had died, and I checked all of those devices. Yeah, they hadn't been serviced since 2022, some of them since 2018. It's 2025 right now. Well, no, I'm sorry. It was 2025 when she died. It's 2026 right now. It's pretty sad. I used to be certified, by the way, in that. Yeah, they're supposed to be serviced very often, not years. All their batteries are dead. They don't care. Why? Because you're just a number to them. You're just a dollar sign. You're not a human. You're not a person. You're just a dollar sign. I've had worms, actual worms, put in my food at the chow hall. And the kitchen staff laughed about it. The female inmate workers that are there apologized to me, coming up to me and telling me that they were sorry, that they were forced to put them in there by the guards. Otherwise, they would go to the SHU. That's the kind of stuff the guards do. They dehumanize you. They break you down. And then they force others to do it to you as well, so that it breaks them down. Rehabilitation? What's that? That doesn't happen inside those walls. That does not happen inside those walls. You have to fight to get into any classes, and when you do get in those classes, they're a literal joke. Here's a coloring sheet. Here, do a coloring sheet. Or, we really don't know what to do, so what do you guys think? Why don't you guys come up with stuff for it? That would be a guard staff saying that to you. Okay. Yeah, that's not rehabilitation. That's not a class. So they still have funding for it. You could have your high school diploma already, and they'll put it in the system that it's not, so that they can charge the government more and get more money for helping you to get your GED when you already had your high school diploma. Seen that happen. They tried doing that to me as well. They tried doing it to several girls. They actually tried doing it to a girl who had her master's degree. But these are the things they do. Because they steal the funding. They commit fraud all the time. They hurt the people in there. There was another girl. She had had surgery prior to at another facility and got transferred there. And she had been going to medical, complaining about pain. And they kept ignoring her, kept belittling her, yelling at her. Just send her back to the pod, tell her to drink water. So the night before she died, oh yes, that's right, she died. The night before she died, she went to medical with a pint of her blood that she had coughed up. She had it in a container. A pint of blood. I say cough. It's more like puke. She puked it up. And her stomach was in massive pain. You could tell she looked like on death's doorstep. Medical sent her back to her room, telling her to just go sleep it off. She died that night. She bled to death. She was due to be released really soon. Her kids will never see her again. She's dead. And you know what? The guards don't care. They laugh about it. They thought it was funny. They actually came and went and made jokes to all the pods, to all the female inmates, on how funny they thought it was. You know, one time I was in medical. I was waiting on dental, which is non-existent, because they're like, oh yeah, we'll see you, we'll schedule it, and then they schedule it way out, and they never see you. And over the radio, I heard, because there was one of the guards standing there, over the radio I heard, hanging in a shoe, hanging in a shoe. Some guards rush off to the shoe, because it's right there. You can see it right outside the windows of medical. You can watch it all happen, watch it all take place. They rush over there. Watch the warden. Warden Neely, by the way. That was her name, Warden Neely. Different warden now. No better. But, yeah, they go through wardens like water. Warden Neely walks briskly over to the shoe. Just briskly, like she don't really care. And you hear over the radio, no stats. That means no vital signs. She's dead. Shortly afterwards, you see the warden coming out laughing so hysterically. She's having a hard time walking. She's laughing. She thinks it's funny. Just saw a dead body. Woman's hung. They tried to say it was suicide. Except 2 weeks later, the guards were bragging about how they killed her. How they hung her and made her look like a suicide. But those are the things. Those are the things you deal with. They say, oh no, we tried our best. No, they didn't. They don't try their best. In fact, they don't try their best to help you. No, they try their best to kill you. Psychology over there. That's a joke. My sister and I went over to psychology, begged and pleaded them, asked them for help. You know what they told me? I'm not qualified to help you. You're not qualified to help me? You're psychology. You're supposed to be a psychiatrist. You're supposed to be a certified psychiatrist, or at least a counselor. No. Nothing. They're a guard that applied for the job because they thought it sounded cool and they wanted more money. That's what they are. They can't help you. They refuse to get your outside medical records. In fact, actually, if you have your outside psychiatric records sent in, they will send it back, saying they didn't request those. Even though it's directly from the actual doctor or the psychiatrist's office, they send it back, rejecting them, because they didn't request them. Even though you've actually tried to have them request them over 4 times. They never actually sent it. I know, because my sister and I did this. And when we had got in touch with our doctor's office, with the psychiatrist's office, they said they never received a request from there. Never received a request from FCI Aliceville. Even though that's their job to get that. Never did it. Instead, when we were like, well, can you just send it directly to medical? Can you send it directly to psychology? And they did. They sent a copy to each. They rejected them. Because they didn't request them. Well, we know you didn't request them because you never did your job. These are things that they do. There was other girls that I saw that the guards tried to rape. There was girls that they did rape. Those girls are too terrified of the retaliation. So they're beaten into submission. You know, everyone thinks that just because you went to federal prison, that means you're a bad person. Actually, no. Majority of those girls in there are actually innocent. Which is really ironic and funny because you would think your government does their job right. You would think that, oh no, they don't have crooked DEA agents, they don't have crooked marshals or detectives or police officers. Really? Have you looked at the news lately? Because that's not the case. There was girls in there that because they reported human sex trafficking, going on because they had found out about it. They got arrested. I know, I read their paperwork. It literally says that they tried to stop it and tried to report it to the authorities. And the authorities kept ignoring them. The authorities actually arrested her and gave her 25 years because she tried to save a 13-year-old girl. Wow, yeah, that's corruption. She's serving time for saving a young teenager. They're not all bad. And they're still people. Some of them, yeah, they made a slight mistake. It happens. It's actually really easy to go fed. You think that those are the hardened criminals. That's not the case, actually. It's really not. It's extremely easy to go federal. You just don't realize it. Because they don't want you to know it. My sister and I, for example, our case went federal. We've never been in trouble before with the law before. Ever. Never been in trouble with the law. Never done anything illegal. None of that. You want to know the real reason why? They make us sound like monsters, but you want to know the real reason why we got arrested? Because we tried to stop the guy who had raped our niece. Our 5-year-old niece. That's why. We went to the police. We went to the feds. We went to all of them. Reported what he had did to her. Because our 5-year-old niece described it in great detail to us. What he had done. You know, I'm a victim of rape. I know what it's like. I know what it does to you. It happened to me when I was a child. So how do you look your 5-year-old niece in the eyes and say, I'm sorry that happened to you, sweetie. The authorities don't want to do anything. Oh well. Yeah, no. You don't. I'm a mom. Oh hell no. So we try to stop him. Scare him off. Make him leave her alone. Stay away from her. Because the sad, sick story is, that's her dad. I got sentenced to 10 years for trying to save my niece. 10 years. And while I was behind bars, me and my sister, we had death threats all the time towards us by the guards. Because lo and behold, they wanted to rape us. Why? Because they're pretty? Thanks. They wanted to rape my sister because she had a quote-unquote a nice ass. That's what they said. And they knew that she had mental disabilities. They wanted to rape me just out of spite of it because I wouldn't let them rape my sister. You know, I had a female guard corner me in the bathroom because I worked there at the recreation department and tried to force me to. Saying that if I didn't, I would never see the light of day again. I would never see my kids again. Or when they told me that we're hot on their radar because we reported them for it. And they're looking for any excuse to put us in the shoe and hang us and kill us. You know, it's really sad when you have to make a choice and a decision. Do you protect your little sister from getting raped by guards and risk never seeing your kids again? Because if you physically fight back, they'll charge you with assaulting an officer and you'll get more time. Do you know how hard it is to make a decision between never seeing your kids again and saving your sister from being raped? That'll tear you up inside. Destroys you. I raised my baby sister. And that's the things you go through.
when you're there. But the government doesn't care. You reach out for help, you ask for help. It doesn't come. You're left alone in a dark hole. And that's the reality of what it's like there. So you need your help. This can't keep going on. I'm not the only one this happened to. My sister's not the only one this happened to. This can't keep going on. I'm sorry. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. The world needs to know, and this has got to stop. It has to. It can't keep continuing. You know, President Trump said that he wanted to root out all the corruption there. So root it out. Get rid of the corruption. Get rid of those abusers who would continue to do those things.
So yesterday evening, well, no, 2 evenings ago, apparently Central Office has viewed the videos, and which that's okay because I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding about what's happening in here. I'm trying to bring a voice to it. And so Bree and I got called to the lieutenant's office to be asked for our help to reveal the names of the women and the names of the officers, and we told them no, that we won't be doing that. Not in-house any longer. That won't happen. So, but we did get them out. We did get the information out of here. But yesterday, when we walked into the chow hall, 2 ladies approached me and Bree and said, "Did you hear the town hall that this place is being closed down and that we're all going to be shipped out of here?" And I said, "No, I have not heard that yet." And then it wasn't even 15 seconds. It's all on camera. A guard was rushing me from behind, and another lady warned me, and she was like, Miss Fate, turn around, because the guard was charging up so aggressively, and I spun around, and we were face to face, and she said, "Did you put my name out there? Did you say that I told you that we were closing down? And did you say that I said that to you, and how dare you?" And I guess she thought that I was going to cower down and out of fear, and instead I stood back toward her and said, "First of all, you need to take 3 steps back from me. Second of all, I haven't even heard this. I was just told this." I said, "This didn't come from me." And sorry, recording is going on over my head. And she was so aggressive and so nasty. And so finally she walked away. She backed up because other inmates at the tables were starting to really pay attention. So now there are other guards that are telling inmates and rallying them up and telling them, "Oh, you're all going to be separated now. You're not going to have your comfort of your girlfriends. You're not going to have your comfort of any people in here to show you any kind of support or for us to try to help you. There's none in here trying to help us." Are you kidding me? But the inmates that are so far up their butt, just trying to, and they're so far up their butt because they're afraid. They're afraid, and they think that these guards are going to try and help them and that they're their friends, and then they lash out and turn on them, the first moment they get. But I can't rescue everyone, and not everyone in here wants to be rescued. But I do. Bree does. Several others do. So apparently this prison is being closed down, so public do some research. Apparently they're moving them in here. But Bree and I are being accused of that, and the inmates are angry. A lot of them are angry because they're scared, because they don't know where they're going to land now. So good luck on that one. Wish us luck there that we don't officially disappear. I do want to say this.
Yeah, because they do that. They make inmates disappear sometimes.
Yeah. You're telling me. So, we're threatened. We've been threatened with the shoe. We're being told that our unit is going to be shut down. Bria and I's units are going to be shut down on Monday or Tuesday. This is coming from staff. And that they are looking for our notes. And they're trying to find our notes where we have the information, because the information needs to disappear. So we're bracing for that. We're bracing for, we knew we were walking around with a target. It's sad, but if you've never experienced prison, you don't understand. Because I didn't understand before I came in here. I had no clue. Oh my God, I was so naive to what we're doing to some people in here. And I'm not saying that everyone deserves to be in prison, but they don't deserve to be treated the way they're treated. And a lot of us can be home right now if the case managers would follow the law with FSA and the Second Chance Act, and stop lying and stop deceiving people and stop relying on old policy from 2008 when it's been redacted to 2018. They're telling people that Second Chance Act doesn't exist anymore, so you can't get that year. There's no time restraint under 3624G 10 and 11, no matter how long your sentence is. They are supposed to project your FSA credits that you are projected to earn. I'm sorry, my mouth hurts so bad. They're supposed to project your FSA as you are to earn it, not that you have only earned. That's mandated by the director of the BOP, and they do not follow that. They flat out will tell you they don't care what the president's rules are and the laws are, that you're not getting projected out. If they would project you out and you are a minimum or a low, you can serve your prison sentence on home confinement. Because home confinement, America, home confinement is seen in the BOP policy and in federal law equal to imprisonment. It's the same thing. But the BOP won't let us go. They won't follow the law. They won't let us nonviolent, first-time offenders with no victims, who are minimums and lows, who want to go home to their families, who could be out there working and earning a living, paying taxes. They won't let us go. They won't let us go to home confinement. They just lie. And I've got paperwork to prove it. If we could get people to stand up and pay attention. So many people's levels are being increased in here when they go to unit team. And they are programming, and they're moving them up from lows and minimums, and they're moving them to highs and mediums for no reason. Just because they can.
Is that because they get more money for every inmate they have?
Yeah, this is all of it. We're, in the program statement, we're actually called customers. We're customers. This is a business. This is supposed to be for violent people who need to be taken away from society. This is supposed to be for people to get reformed.
Faith,
There's no...
Faith, I hate to interrupt. Can you move the phone to the side of your mouth just a little bit? It's getting really, really staticky. Sorry. I know your mouth hurts because they yanked all of your teeth, but it's getting really, really staticky. It makes it hard to understand.
Start again?
Can you move the phone piece to the side of your mouth just a little bit more? I know it hurts really bad, and you're trying to just be able to project your voice because your teeth hurt where they yanked them.
Yeah, it's really hard. I know.
It's getting
I'm sorry.
really staticky.
It's hard to project when there's nothing left in there.
Yeah.
And they're telling me that they sent the paperwork off, to regional, and the dentist was so kind. He was like, I'm so sorry, this would never happen to you on the outside. This is not the standard of care on the outside. We would never do this to you on the outside. You wouldn't leave with dentures, or, we wouldn't let you just sit in the kind of pain that we know you're fixing to be in, but please just go to commissary and take ibuprofen and Tylenol, mix them together, I'm a gastric bypass patient. I can't take NSAIDs. They cause ulcers, and I already have 16. How many more ulcers should I get, while I'm in here? How many more would you recommend? If they would just give me a number, sorry, the speaker. What was done to my mother and I?
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Okay, go again.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What was done on the outside to my mother and I, if people actually looked into it, and not just the government side, and saw that the DEA, within a month of our clinic being open, had their own nurse practitioner planted in there. They had him come interview and hire so that he could write prescriptions. Ow, sorry. Oh, it hurts. Newsflash, Tylenol doesn't cut it. So he could write prescriptions for people so that they could try and target the clinic, because we would not pay the $10,000 a week that the DEA agent wanted us to pay to remain protected.
So they were trying to force you to do a bribe.
It's common practice with a pain management clinic. I've got several friends that own them, and I just wouldn't do it. I said no, and I turned him in, actually, and so did my mom. And he threatened for us to be found in our vehicles with methamphetamine. I've never used methamphetamine a day in my life, just so that he could take my kids away. And when you're a single mom of 5, having your kids threatened, you'll do whatever they want. And I still wouldn't bow down. So they planted their own nurse practitioner within 3 weeks to a month of us being open. They lied to a grand jury. This is all documented. If the president or Pam Bondi would just pay attention, if they would just do the research, if any attorney out there would just do the research. They told the grand jury that they started an investigation on our clinics in October of 2010. We weren't even open. There was no clinic to investigate in October of 2010. We opened the last week of December. So what were you investigating? They planted a nurse practitioner. They gave him immunity. There's text messages presented to the grand jury by that nurse practitioner against the lead DEA agent, because I closed my clinic because of all the threats, voluntarily. The planted nurse practitioner told the DEA agent, I don't think that she's going to reopen. The return text message was, she has to. There's no case if you can't get her to. You have to make her. So he came out to my house to convince me to please reopen, that he would work for me, and the other ones were going to stand by me, and they were going to do the right thing, and they would make sure I was protected. So I said, we'll try this one more time. We were actually trying to help people. There are reports from the DEA agent that they tried to get in undercover. He was turned away 8 times. He reported by me for not bringing medical records. Does that sound like I'm trying to run a pill mill? I told him no, that he could not be seen because he was not bringing the right stuff. So what did the lead agent do? The lead agent got in touch with his undercover nurse practitioner. There's text messages that are on file. He had that undercover DEA agent go see the undercover nurse practitioner that the undercover nurse practitioner set up for him to come in to get a prescription. They knew each other. They gave him a prescription, and they took that prescription to the grand jury as us running a pill mill. The DEA agent had to testify at my mother's trial that they never reviewed full medical files of any patient. Their expert said if I would have been shown the entire file, I would have come up with a different theory. They did not have files. They had 266,000 pages. 95% came from our medical director's clinic that my mother and I had no attachment to. They lied, and they gave my mother 280 years with 3 years supervised probation, and me 44 years for a nonviolent first-time offense as a business owner. What is wrong with this country? I can't take much more. I keep telling myself that. But my mom is going to die in here alone.
And they cut her video off. That is Faith Blake. You can see it right there. That's her name and reg number. That's her name and reg number right there. That's Faith Blake, and her mom is named Barbara Lang. They need your help, guys. Hello, everyone. Today is February 15th, 2026. We have a video visit with Faith Blake. Hello. Hey.
Okay, so does this look a little better?
It does. Their lighting and camera there really sucks. But it does look a little better. Do you have a book light to be able to shine up more towards your eyes?
Right here.
Put it like down, shining upwards. That's so much better, yeah.
Okay, look, is this better?
Yes.
Or is this better?
The up one.
Up?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. So were you able to get the emails and
Yes.
hear those?
Yes, I got the email. The volume is like really low on this.
Mine is maxed out over here.
Yeah. It's okay.
All right. So, update. Everybody wants an update. So, well, let's wait until the recording overhead goes over.
Okay.
Okay, so update. The goal this morning was to take me out and put me into the shoe. That did not go over, did not work. Don't know that they're not going to attempt another avenue. But they had to recall the avenue attempt that they tried. Which was, good for me right now. So yay, so far. Of course, the more support we get and the more people listening to what we need help with, the better and the faster that we survive. OSHA came in, and now they're taking fake pictures of food. They had pans full of chicken wings and taking pictures of that because that's what we're being served. Complete false. Lie. Lie. We've been served, we were given, first of all, 3. Some people got 4 chicken wings on their tray, and it was for Super Bowl Sunday. It's once a year. It wasn't a holiday menu, and it's not an everyday thing. They have gone in and they've taken out the baker's rack and all the spices that I put on my last video and things that are being on our budget that are being put into staff dining. They've removed those things so that when regional comes through and OSHA comes through, they won't see the truth. So the truth is just not important in here. It is an absolute canvassing, speaking of, and that beautiful canvas I'm looking at right now. That is a beautiful painting, by the way.
Thank you.
100% false. If people do not start listening to us, more of your mothers, more of your sisters, more of your aunts, more of your grandmothers, and more of your daughters, we're going to die. And that's not a light sentence. I know for a fact that they're listening to this and watching this video because they thought that I had hidden my videos and found out that my videos were actually approved by them, so they could not put me in this shoe. But they are watching, so hello to the lieutenants who are watching right now. No, I am not going to be silent. No, I am not going to shut up. And no, I am not going to hide things for you. And stop sending people to force me to do it, because I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it's your freedom of speech.
Well, it's not only just our freedom of speech, because apparently in America, that's a pretty hard thing to hold on to right now. But I did not sign, nor was I ever served with a court-ordered gag order there about us, and that's just the truth. That's the fact. And that staff member confronted me today that she was in trouble and that she's not the one who made the comment. Well, I'm not upset about the comment. I welcome the comments. Please make your comments. That's okay. As long as they're true, say what you will. Now, we have another situation, for all of us inmates in here that are nothing but, liars and seeking attention. We have a pregnant inmate that's hiding her pregnancy from an officer's rape. So, is there a problem in here? Are we being brutalized? Now we have an innocent baby? It's not the first one. As a matter of fact, in my time in the BOP, I've seen several. But we're the ones that the public shouldn't be listening to. Wrong. I have a proposal. I need this to get to Donald Trump. I need our president to see this. And the only way that that's going to happen is if the public out there shows their love and their support and says no more silence on the abuse. I need your help. And it's not just me that needs your help. We all need your help. And by the mass incarceration that's going on in here, some of us are your family. So I have a proposal. I've given this proposal to the warden here. And let me go ahead and say this. I spent some time with this warden. She's getting ready to retire. I don't think that this warden necessarily knows 100% of the foulness that's going on. I think a lot of it's being hidden from her. And not just by the staff, but by the inmates, because the inmates are scared. The women are terrified. They're terrified to speak out because they're going to lose their phone calls. They're going to lose their video visits. They're going to go to the SHU. Going to the SHU could mean death. So, and that's not a light comment. I say it because it's true. So I'm not 100% sold that she knows everything. And I don't want to set it in her lap that she does and that she's guilty of just completely ignoring us. Because I think there is some good in her. But I told her last week, I want to be the warden. That's my proposal to you, world. I was a former business owner, and I've lived inside of this world for almost 16 years. I know what's done in here. I can change this. And I know half of you out there right now are gasping and going, what the heck does she think that she is asking for? She's a prisoner. She would never be granted something like that. Let's look at history, shall we? To all of my fellow God lovers out there, God appointed a shepherd to become king. Nelson Mandela, one of the finest men in history, was a prisoner in worse conditions, quite frankly, than we are, even though ours are dire. He came out as the president. Our current president of the United States is a convicted felon. Our assistant director of the BOP, convicted felon. I only am asking for the president to appoint me as a warden for a short period, maybe 2 years, and let me prove that I can change this. I can make rehabilitation a real thing. No more coloring pages and construction paper from kindergarten as your drug rehabilitation program that your government is paying billions of dollars for. No more food that's expenses that are being ciphered out by their government employees committing fraud. No more medical telling people that they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, and then they die the next day. We had that happen here, by the way, as she was throwing up feces and blood out of her mouth. And medical told her to go away. There was nothing wrong with her. Her family had buried her a few days later. That is our normal in here. It can be changed if they stop hiring people that are politicians and that don't understand how to tell the truth. It has to stop. I can present a proposal that would not only improve every single life of every single woman and every single family member whose female family member is in this prison. I can bring an income into this prison generated of over $400,000 more a year that can be spent on classes, true classes, that would improve their lives. Mental health therapy, not going to the psychologist department here and being referred over to a nurse practitioner who's going to prescribe you a blanket prescription that's given to everybody and not being prescribed correctly. This has to stop. And the only way it's going to stop, the only way, is by all of you standing up with us. That's it. It's the only way. Because they're going to do everything they can in their power to silence us. Women being raped, women being threatened, women having to watch their sisters be raped. That cannot be permitted. Women begging for medical attention, whose organs are failing, whose limbs have got infections that they are being cut off. That shouldn't happen. My teeth are all being pulled out, and I've never had a cavity a day in my life. I had to pull out my own two bottom teeth. I blacked out twice from the pain. Now they're taking all of my top teeth because I could not get a cleaning for over 11 years, and I lost all my bone mass. So these things are not normal. The dentist here is the only department that I would tell you all publicly from my heart is kind. He has admitted to me that he would never do this to me on the outside. But this is not the standard of care that any dentist would give on the outside. But inside the BOP, they're told to cause us harm. They're told not to help us. And they get complete qualified immunity. Research it, America. Not only do they get immunity, they get immunity even in death. That's a license to kill. And these people love it. They love it. I refuse to be silent anymore. It's not going to happen. So if it cost me dearly, and it is going to cost me dearly, then I will take that strike. That I need all of you to make those strikes that I'm fixing to take absolutely 100% worth it. Don't silence us. Listen to us. Believe in us and show us the support that we have to have. We're not wearing suits and ties, and not all of us need to be free. But not all of us need to be in here. Look at the people who were on death row that have done 25, 45, 35 years. And those prison guards and those wardens and those prosecutors all said how guilty they were. And just a little bit of testing proved that they weren't. Most of us are in here because we signed a plea deal believing a false lie, or that we could not defend ourselves against the government. Radio background.
Yep. Yeah, a phone alarm went off.
Yeah, that's funny. So you're late for something.
Yeah.
We need viralness. You all are losing people's lives by not listening. We need you to get these to President Trump's spiritual advisor, to President Trump's personal attorneys, to Alice Johnson, who knows firsthand exactly how bad it is in here. And guess what, Alice? It's gotten way worse. You knew my mother, Barbara Lang. She was your friend. She was here with you. She's now in Carswell with a pacemaker that's going to time out any day. And they're not going to replace it. That's premeditated murder by anybody's standard. So, wake up and help us. Speak out. Make your voices known for our voices, because it's not going to be just our voices, it's going to be our lives. All right. We need you. Okay, I guess there's 6 minutes left. That we can actually just talk and not have very, very angry over this visit right now.
Oh, of course. You're probably going to get further retaliation, and they're probably going to try and get someone to come in there to hurt you and terrorize your cell and steal from you.
Well,
those are their common tactics that they do.
I'm banking on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stopped me in the chow hall today, and she did not want me to believe that it was her that went on there and said, inmates are liars and we're just seeking attention, and that we're fed 3 meals a day. And it's funny, we're fed 3 meals a day. That's an interesting comment, isn't it? That they actually want to say that we're fed better than the homeless people. That's the comparison that we get here in our faces. You're fed better than the homeless people are. What does that have to do with anything? You're given billions of dollars a year to provide, and instead y'all steal it. But you want to blame us for stealing it, when if you want to compare, let's compare. Let's take Thursday, for instance. Shall we? Let's go ahead and record this part. Let's take Thursday. Thursday, we were fed the smallest little chicken leg and quarter that was so dried out. It was chicken jerky. Let's just be honest about what it was. A 2-ounce scoop of cold green beans straight out of the can that the kitchen did not even allow the girls to heat up. And a 1.5-ounce scoop of mashed up sweet potato, because they didn't have enough sweet potatoes to give us half of a sweet potato or a whole sweet potato. Because they don't have, according to them, they don't have the budget funding. Now, that's what we were fed on Thursday. The same exact Thursday, let's discuss what they were fed. Homemade macaroni and cheese with 3 kinds of cheese. Fried chicken, baked chicken, and lemon pepper chicken.
And that's what the guards?
Yeah, that's here. Fried cabbage. Now.
And that's what the guards ate instead?
That was in staff dining. So, now I think what everyone needs to pay attention to, including Congress, if you're paying attention, Congress, who are giving them their money, and President Trump, let's pay attention to this little detail here. We're all savvy about income and money and things. Let's be savvy. You fed us 2-ounce and 1-ounce scoops of cold canned vegetables. No fresh vegetables. But then let's move over, okay, same day. And let's go over to staff dining, which, by the way, everyone listening, that does not exist in the BOP program statement. There is no such thing as staff dining and a private menu for them. And I speak from experience. I was their staff dining cook.
Aren't they, per BOP policy, supposed to eat the exact same things the inmates are?
The BOP policy reads that, and if you look at my first recording, it was very clear stop listening to the BOP program statement. It is a artfully crafted, beautiful lie. It was designed by lawyers and PR representatives for the public to believe that that's how we're treated. Here's how we're treated. Listen to us. Now, that funding, they don't have a private funding. There's no private account. There's no private monies that is set aside for the staff's food. So that would mean that the kitchen is ordering food off of the funding completely assigned for and segregated to go to the prisoner population. Well, if the food being ordered never sees the prisoner population, but is all ordered off of the same funding, that equals embezzlement. That's fraud. You are taking all of the funding and you are filtering that funding into food for y'all and for your homes. It's being taken off property. It's going to their restaurants that they own. You know, just kind of like, Unicor here. And the BOP employee owns all the Unicor sewing machines. Y'all don't see a problem with that. Interesting. But let's cover the food. Fried cabbage that you gave all the staff dining, that was a fresh vegetable. You want to know why our health and why we have so many bowel blockages in here? Why women are having feces come up in their mouth weekly? And suffering and pain and gaining weight. Because we gain weight does not mean that we are nutritionally fed. It means that we're fed carbs and starches all day, every day. Rice, pasta, bread, rice, pasta, bread, rice, pasta, bread. All of our fresh vegetables are fed to the staff because they're not swine. We are. They're not cum buckets. We are.
They're messing with the internet connection right now. It's actually getting you really pixelated. I just thought you'd
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That doesn't shock me. It shocks me that they're going to allow the video visit to continue.
Yeah.
That's what shocks me. So, yeah, national menu, not done. Staff dining and staff catering, done all of the time. On our budget, on our food money, on us. And then it's all represented to the BOP and to regional, but we all get all that food. We haven't seen any of that. And we won't see any of it. So my offer still stands to our president.
Oh, they just froze the video. They froze the video on her. That's FCI Aliceville. Her offer to the president was to come unannounced and have lunch or dinner there with the inmates without it being known and announced ahead of time, so that the staff can't mask it and try to cover their tracks up. But they froze her video. Yep. That is Faith Blake. That's a live video of her there in FCI Aliceville, and they are most definitely going to retaliate against her. They've already tried to pay off inmates to go and terrorize her, harass her, steal her legal paperwork. They've tried to put her in the shoe this morning, all because she's exposing the truth, and they're trying to silence her. She needs your help. Share it with the world, guys. The world needs to know.
As you know, with my gastric bypass, I've lost a lot of bone because I can't get iron transfusions, and I couldn't get a cleaning for 11 years on my teeth. They pulled 12 perfectly good teeth 3 days ago. I no longer have any upper teeth. My mouth hurts so bad, and I have 4 remaining lower teeth. The dentist, I'll be very clear about this, he was so kind. He was the only kind person, really, that I've met here, which is kind of sad. But I'm sorry I'm getting emotional because I can't eat. And what they're serving me for my soft diet is one banana and a piece of bread every meal. That's it. A banana and a piece of bread, and we just got bananas in yesterday. And I can't even eat the bread because when I try to choke, everything falls up and I choke. Because I can't, the holes are still raw from losing my whole upper plate. I tried to get the no meat option, which was beef yesterday, and I don't know if you can tell with this camera. And then I wish there was scent on these cameras. They're rancid. They have mold. There's mold in here. The beans were full of actual visible mold. And when I said something to them about it, they said, well, don't eat it or go to commissary. So these people are cruel. They're monsters in the BOP. And if y'all don't do something about it out there, then y'all are monsters too, quite frankly. So, wish me luck. Because I can't eat. There's a few inmates that are being really kind to me. They're bringing me packets of chicken broth so that I can make some chicken broth, because I can't even eat a cup of noodles because the noodles they go up in the holes and they just hurt so bad. And I asked how long it was going to be before I would get dentures, and so that I can eat and I can feel at least decent about myself and the way that I look, because I didn't look like this when I came in here. I wasn't falling apart. I wasn't being pieced out. And I'm tired. I'm so tired of watching other people get torn apart and pieced out and beaten down and nobody helping. We need some help. Somebody contact some powerful people, please. And yesterday, an update. I'm sorry, I'm having some bad days here. Yesterday evening, when
Hold on one second.